What's up, guys? Zanari here, and today I'm going to go over my run from Orange's Peel's Crew tournament. So, like the thumbnail says, I won 0-4 with, of course, the best deck, Powerful. You know, the best deck in Standard. So I'm just gonna go over the matches I faced. I won't say any names. I'll just go over it right quickly. And yeah, so let's just get it started. First, I want to show my list that I used. So it's not as standard as most other lists. I don't have any Eileen because I never bought any Eileens. And I went for more of a defensive route with this deck. More so, I want to guard early game and not have to spend as much counterblast on using Herminia's skill to get her to know face-up cards in your damage zone. I didn't run the draws because I thought the friends were a bit more pressuring than having draw triggers in the deck, which I'm thinking I should play draws now. And I'm playing the grade 2 that gets 10k shield just because I can call it out in early game and I can intercept for a 10k shield. And she does have a powerful ability, so if I needed to, which I did do in the tournament, I restood the grade 2 Tygar, I believe her name is. I restood her with her mini and able to swing again, so it was just another consistency target. And the grade 1 Marjone, I play this card over more copies of Lingerie because I don't have to discard a card from my hand, and also it's just kind of a free easy 10k attacker booster, as well as if you're desperate and you don't have a lot of powerful units to restand, you can always restand this card and she will always continue have the 2k power. Now for the blitz order is just so that when I take a damage I can use it as a 30k shield, and it helped me in some cases, especially in the early game if I was getting rushed, which only one of my matches I used it, and I had another match where I got clunked with them and I couldn't use both of them in the same turn. But other than that, this is just my list that I had, and I will probably talk more about what I can do to improve this deck. So let's go over my matchups. So the first round I fought was against Orphist, and since I'm 0-0, I'm at 0-4. Of course I lost all my games, but I'm still gonna explain anyway. So I went first during this game. So during this game, I had a pretty decent early game. I try not to give the Orphist player too much counterblast so they can call a bunch of tokens. So I only swung with my Vanguard like once, and then I hit OT on turn 3, which was pretty good for me, so I can hopefully get Persona and try to close out the game. But after that I never found Persona, and he Persona rode twice, and he had swung with that, I think it's a grade 3 that like retires 3 tokens and is able to restand. He did that twice and I couldn't guard, so I lost game 1 to that. So game 2 was against Bastion. I went first during this game and I had a pretty good hand going first to be able to start rushing. So I started aggroing him to push him to high damage, so when I start Persona riding or I hit a OT, I can close it out very easily. However, I drew OT in my starting hand, so I didn't have it. I ended up Persona riding twice during this game. And when the Bastion player hit his grade 4 turn, he hit an OT and he restood his Bastion, and I think he had an Alden, and he just drew like 6 cards from 4 cards from the OT. And yeah, I lost because that OT really changed the game and I couldn't get through his hand, and nor I didn't have another Persona right after that. So yeah, I ended up losing that game. Round 3 was against Kyrie. So my hand was a little rough in the beginning, and I didn't really have much plays. the Kyrie player called Melty had La Plume and was getting all this plussing to the board early, and I had to let them just do their stuff because I couldn't swing it to Melty since she bounced it back with Kyora. So after that, it was pretty much of a standard game, sort of. Like, I was able to get Nalas and stuff. They rolled grade 4, and they had 2 Eileens on the board, and they stacked a trigger on top since they left on top. And I assumed it was maybe a heal or a crit, so I took the first damage from one of their swings. And then after that, I said no guard to the Vanguard. They hit a crit and I think a PG and something else. I was at 5 damage, but they already called like 2 other cards and reset with La Plume, and I had 2 of the Blitz orders. I took a damage. I only used 1 of them, and my hand was full of grade 2s and grade 3s, so I just had to take the damage and lose right there. So I went second during this game, and in round 4 I went second, and it was against another Bastion. In this game, I checked the overtrigger turn 1, so I tried to push him early to try to close the game as fast as possible. However, I called Lodre, the grade 1 from the Rye line, and he swung into it. Me not having the foresight to realize I don't have any way to empty soul, I let it hit. And then on my turn 3, I really misplayed. I had Singe in my hand, and I had no way to boost it, so I had to call a trigger from my hand to get the boost for Singe and to be able to empty soul to restand the rear guard. But I completely forgot to use the skill, and also my face up cards in my damage zone was faced up because I was tunneling into rushing so much, and also me not having a way to empty soul screwed me over. So I ended up misplaying really hard. I only did 3 attacks that turn. Eventually, they rode up. They had a pretty decent grade 4 turn with Bastion. I mean, grade 3, yeah, grade 4 turn with Bastion. I survived it. And then I Persona rode. I was able to fix my misplays, and I was able to have a Nala that hit over 60k with the lane, but they had a perfect guard. And then after that, I couldn't guard anything else after that. I only had 3 cards left in hand, and yep, that's pretty much how my run went for Orange's Peel Crew tournament. So what have I learned about this experience playing this deck? For one, this deck doesn't really have a high ceiling. I realized that, and I've always realized that. The highest ceiling you could probably get is like using that other grade 3 that gets 10k when it attacks, and that's probably what you have to use. In this deck, I was trying to focus more on like mid-ranging, or just being a little bit more defensive, but I had no power or no pressure, so that's why I wasn't able to close it. In the games where I were able to push damage, it was purely because of the over trigger and not because of the deck itself. So that's one thing. I need to adjust the deck to have more power in it. The second thing is I do not draw a lot of cards. Like, this deck does not draw a lot of cards. Although you get free pluses from the Rye line while having to discard, you don't generate advantage. There's just not a lot of cards that generate advantage in Lyrical other than Melty or a few other cards. And the thing with those cards is that, one, they're expensive for me, and 2, all they do is draw a card, and it doesn't like increase the ceiling of the deck, it just increases my survivability. 3, I need to sequence stuff better and realize when I don't have a lot of cards to empty soul, I need to play a little bit more differently. Like in my 3rd game against Bastion, I lost tempo, and I lost a lot of tempo by not being able to restand with a rear guard while really just using much of a cost. So that really turned the game in his favor to be able to win. And another thing is the Blitz order isn't as bad as I thought it will be. It's pretty good when it activates when you have your hand, but if you have more than 2 and you're at high damage, like 5, well, technically 5, unless you hit a heal, it doesn't really do anything. And it's just kind of your hand to be a discard target. So yeah, I was suggested to try to do more of an aggro build where I just flood my opponent and try to like beat them early. I can try that. There's also a white wing version, but I just feel like that's not as consistent as just playing Herminiath as should be. I could try replacing the fronts with draws. However, the 20k fronts came up a lot for me to guard a lot of strong attacks. I do like the grade 2 that gets 10k shield, but again, she doesn't increase the ceiling or anything or in the game. She just allows me to survive a bit more. So that can be more of a tech than anything, or addition to the deck. Singe I haven't really used a lot since I never really drew her. I just discarded her. She kind of helps with the consistency, but she's supposed to be used as a restander. Truelist never hit. I never really drew a lot of her, so I might as well just replace it with that other grade 3 to increase the ceiling of the deck to push harder. And yeah, I think I should try to play more cards at digs for Persona or digs for the combo pieces I need, because I feel like I won't be able to push as hard if I don't have those pieces in the deck, I mean in my hand. And since I can save cards from my hand if I just use the powerful Rye line, I essentially plus like in the early game, but it's not as drastic as like Kyrie or something like Magnolia or Orpheus. So yeah, I don't want this video to be too long. So that was my experience with the tournament so far. 04 is an achievement since I'm the only one who got it. And hopefully sometime in the future, Lyrical Wave 3 actually gives this deck support and not just half bake it like they did in set 2. But we will see. So if you like the video, leave a comment, like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my videos. So with that being said, I'm Zenarion, and I'm signing off.